I'm tired. I sound so old when I say that, but man, just that Germany trip that I took a couple weeks ago, I really needed that. I really needed that, probably more than I thought I did. And it was so nice, just kind of being away from the internet for the most part. Yeah, I would, dabble into Twitter a bit. I would still make my daily uploads. But it was a breath of fresh air, not coming back to social media and realizing how much negativity there is. I kind of already knew that when it comes to just the space that I'm in, we're in, anime, Dragon Ball, Sparking Zero, the whole topic of this video. And keep in mind, I'm not saying that the whole community is bad. It's not. There are great people that I've met in the community. There are good people there, right? But that's not always the case. And I'm not saying that there are bad people either. It's just some people start a lot of drama, will start up negativity. And for a game like this and this just community in general, we're like beating a dead horse at this point. The game, we all know, it did not live up to the expectation. It's not in a great place right now. It's not even, I would say, in really a good place. We've gotten no news on content. We don't know when the next DLC is coming. The communication has been fucking horrible. We've all talked about this, right? So I just kind of wanted to discuss and address this negativity and drama that I just see so often, more often in this game than I've seen in any other game. I know Dragon Ball Legends and Dokkan, they constantly have a lot of controversial discussions and opinions and things, but when it comes to the console games, I really don't see a lot of crazy shit too often. Xenoverse has had its, stuff in the past, and, occasionally it'll get brought up. Kakarot, I don't really see much stuff. Breakers, is Breakers. We know how that's going right now. But, just for the most part, Sparking Zero, I just feel like it's just a constant. I do not see anybody saying really anything positive about the game. And I get it, this game, there are, the problems, right? We've again talked about it so many times, but the reason I'm kind of bringing this up is shout out to my boy Kuba here. Good friend of mine. We go way back. Okay, we go way back. I've known him since, I would say, 2016. We had a very similar kind of upbringing when it comes to the community and getting into Dragon Ball and stuff. Like, we both kind of started with like Nintendo and everything, and then we started getting into Dragon Ball. And then by 2016, we had Dragon Ball Fusions and Xenoverse 2 releasing. We both did a lot of content, like a shit ton of content. And when it comes to Dragon Ball Fusions, it was me, him, and the Mikey J, if you guys don't remember, back in like 2016. For those that have been part of the channel for a long time, we were kind of the only three people that were really, pushing this game and trying to do content on it, right? And Kuba was doing it even before I was, right? He played the Japanese version and everything, so he was on top of it. He did Dragon Ball Heroes content. He did a lot of the handheld like 3DS games, and I have nothing but absolute utmost respect for him as a person and as a creator. He's a really good dude. And he tweeted before, this is a year ago, okay? This is before the game released. Basically, he removed it. You're seeing it from what he said here. Kind of to just summarize it, he was like, hey, smaller content creators, this is your time, right? This is your time to kind of get into Dragon Ball content creation and make a name for yourself, right? And the main thing that people always bring up from that tweet is, he said, Sparking Zero will feed generations, right? Obviously, that ended up not being the case, okay? And for some people who actually capitalized on, what the game had to offer, especially the custom battle mode and combining it with mods, I have seen channels actually get very, very good reception, viewership, everything, right? They have done basically what they were supposed to do when it came to content creation. And it required some more effort, but they put in that effort and they saw success, right? A lot of people, they didn't do that. They just kind of thought that they were just going to do, I guess, PvP gameplay, which understandable, right? You know, there are people who did PvP gameplay for other Dragon Ball games, primarily something like Dragon Ball Fighters, and they saw a lot of good success and everything, right? But I think it was just a lot of people kind of weren't feeling it. They just kind of fell off, and then we didn't really see much else from, you know, content creators other than news, discussions, DLC releases, and then obviously, you know, trying to do custom battle with mods, right? Like, I feel like that's where the game is doing really well in right now when it comes to newer content. If you're using mods and you're making like a custom battle what if, like I said, like you guys have probably seen it, like maybe in your suggested, there will be like a custom what if battle using some mods, and they like make their own story and everything, and it's actually pretty cool. Like, I've seen some really good ones. Now back to what Kuba said here. He said, I deleted the Sparking Zero tweet that I posted a year ago today, and again, my thoughts and hopes for the game back then and my current thoughts about the game now are entirely different. So I see no point in keeping that tweet up anymore. Again, I really do wish that the game would have been a major positive for the community, but the way they handled the game was extremely poor, especially for the Tenkaichi series. It is what it is, right? And yeah, I agree. I am not necessarily defending Sparking Zero. I'm more kind of trying to defend Kuba here just because he's a good friend of mine, and I feel like he didn't deserve to get so many quote tweets. Like, people, I saw this tweet, it was always brought up. Like, this is a over a year old tweet. People brought it up constantly. I saw videos being made about it, right? And even more recently, there were videos that I would see pop up in my suggested, and I'm just like, we're still talking about this? Like, I understand people are upset about, you know, the way that the game was handled. I get it. It's not a bad game. It's just that it didn't live up to the expectation of what a lot of people had, including myself, right? I thought this game was going to be the definitive Tenkaichi game, and it's still a good one. I would say it's still a pretty good sequel, but it's more of just kind of a reboot, a starting point for a potential future that can get built off of, right? If, you know, we see that remains to be seen. I don't know what they're going to be doing in the future. We've talked about it, right? But yes, I agree. The way this game has been handled by the devs and by Bandai has been absolutely atrocious. The only thing that has been good has been, I would say, just gameplay changes overall. For the most part, not 100%, but for the most part, I've seen them actually listen. They've done things to the game. Like, you cannot deny they have done things in the game and changed things in the game that were, you know, fan outcried feedback, things that people have been asking for, right? They've done so many patches, at least, you know, I would say a few, maybe 5, 6 patches overall. Maybe there's more than that. I don't even remember at this point, dog. But it's just, they've done a lot, okay, for the gameplay. But the content is not there. Sparking Zero content, like that's what we say. That's the joke, right? And it's just been an absolute, you know, exactly what he said. It's just been extremely poor, okay, for how big this series is and how hype it is, right? But I have to kind of, you know, I resonate with what he's saying and where he was coming from with it, because I agreed with him. I think I even, you know, said in like a reply that this would be a great opportunity for newer content creators and everything, right? But the problem, the issue, why we thought that, okay, at least both of us, is because we had that opportunity coming up with Dragon Ball Fusions and especially Xenoverse 2, okay? Xenoverse 2 was the next big game back in 2016, and there were a lot of people who actually grew and, you know, progressed as content creators and did really well with their content because of that game. Like, I have to thank and credit both Xenoverse 2 and Dragon Ball Fusions for, you know, pushing my channel, right? That has been an absolute blessing. I'm very, very grateful and very lucky for the people that, you know, came through, watched my content and everything. And it wasn't an overnight success or anything. It was just more of a being consistent, right? That's the thing. Like, if you're gonna do content and you want to see your channel get pushed through the algorithm and for people to actually support you, you have to, you know, be creative, get creative, do things that no one else is doing. And like I said at the beginning, that's what some of those content creators did for the modded custom battle mode type of thing, right? Like that was a thing that got, good viewership. And like I said, mods in general helped the game. And I know that is completely separate from the base game, but I'm just saying that as an example. People got creative with the content. Like how many times are you going to want to see somebody use a certain character versus another character in PvP? Like I think at this point, you guys have seen it all. You guys have played it for yourself. Like why watch somebody do it, right? Unless they're just extremely entertaining. Their edits are like crazy, right? Like you have to do something different. Like you just sitting there playing the game. It's like, I mean, with like barely any commentary, it's not really going to be something that is entertaining, right? So like I said, a lot of people had to get creative with it. And I don't know. I just didn't really see a whole lot of that. And I'm not saying that, that's like anybody's fault or anything, right? Like, again, we played this game. We grinded out the story and everything. And I feel like some people, they kind of rushed it. They just went crazy hard on it. And it was almost like they got burnt out and there was nothing else to do. Somebody like me, who I kind of, extended the lifespan of this game for myself by just playing a little bit every single day for at least a month, 2 months, right? I really did feel like I got the most out of the game that way, right? The people that did it within a few days, within like a week, like I don't feel like that's a great way of doing it. Maybe that your experience is better that way, but overall, right? You're losing something there, right? You're beating the game in a week, so then you don't really have anything else to do afterwards, unless you're just heavy PvP and that's all you cared about, right? So it's just quite unfortunate that ended up being the case. And like I said, I agree with everything that the community has said, with what Kuba has said here. Overall, we thought that was going to happen for people the same way it kind of happened for us and other content creators when it came to Xenoverse 2. We really believed like, hey, this is going to be another Xenoverse 2 situation where a huge, massive title that's being hyped up, it's getting crazy views on YouTube from, trailers, announcements, anything, any bit of it. Like, you cannot lie, any bit of crumbs information that was given for this game, people wanted to know what it was. Like, there were Twitter posts getting tons of likes, retweets, things like, there were so many things about this game that people wanted to know about, right? And maybe that also hurt it because it was just so much content, so much information was being kind of shown and divulged before the game even released, that when it finally did release, you weren't getting that, full 100% of it, right? It was almost like you got spoiled before the game even came out. But I don't know, I guess that just really depends on whoever was following the content, or if that, for some people, spoilers, it's a bad thing, but it could also be like a good thing. And I know that sounds weird, but I mean, whenever a spoiler comes out for something and it's something really hype, it only just gets some people even more excited for, what's to come for this piece of media. You know what I mean? But I wanted to move on here, and I wanted to finally talk about this video from my boy, Grandmaster Hawk. Awesome dude in the community. He's a veteran in the Tenkaichi series. I just want to play this video, and I don't know, just listen to what he has to say, and there's a lot of stuff that I agree with him. So let's hear it.
Don't tell you I'm done with Dragon Ball. You're on the right track. I want to retire. I genuinely want to retire, and it's not because of Dragon Ball itself. Bandai's treatment of us is part of it. The other half of it is seeing what the Sparking Zero community has become. During my hiatus from Sparking Zero and Dragon Ball as a whole, over the last couple of months, I've been observing the Sparking Zero community, and it's just like, why are there so many people whining and bitching about things that they don't need to be whining and bitching about? Why are these people then screaming about the changes that they're screaming for when they get their changes? And third is the worst of it. Why is everyone tearing each other down? Like, I've been looking in the Twitter community and some of the Discord servers and shit, and people are just getting personal with each other and mentioning other people's families and shit. I'm just like, what the fuck has this community come to?
Yeah, I have to agree with pretty much everything he has to say. Again, criticism for this game is important when it's constructive and you're giving feedback. Okay, we all want nothing more. I mean, I would hope so. Some people, maybe they just get their kicks from shitting on the game. You know, it's like the popular thing, right? After the game release, people definitely, you cannot deny, people definitely played the shit out of it. I saw clips, everything. People were saying, oh, this game is awesome. Where Tenkaichi is so back. Like, this is after the game release. People who were playing it actually said that. Not everyone, but a lot of people did. There were some people who weren't happy with how the game played and, you know, voiced their opinions and stuff. And that's the thing, whenever these patches come through and changes get made, these are things that people are saying, hey, I need this to be changed, right? And then the changes get made and then we hear bitching, right? And it's not, I don't think it's from those same people that asked for it. It's just the problem is it's split in the community, right? It's split. This is any game in general, okay? There are people who want certain changes to be made, okay? For example, the whole, like, balance problem when it came to PvP, right? People, when the game released and people went on PvP and everything, they saw, okay, the disparity between Gogeta and Cyberman is absolutely absurd, right? You cannot win using a Cyberman. Like, you're fucked. Gogeta is going to kick your ass, right? Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta will literally kill you in 2 hits. You're an idiot for even considering, trying to use a character like a Cyberman, for example, right? So that's why we saw so many people on PvP running the same 5 fucking characters. UI Goku, Gogeta Blue, Vegito Blue, whatever it may be, right? Because they wanted to win by using the best character in the game. And I don't blame you, right? I don't blame you. And that's the thing. It's like the devs I guess they just really didn't think about that. They weren't like thinking about, okay, well, we wanted to make this for the Tenkaichi fans, right? Makes sense, right? This is what a lot of people wanted. They wanted the game to be broken as fuck like the original games were, right? So then when it actually came to a PvP aspect, which these old games did not have, they were like, oh shit, we fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, this isn't going to work with PvP with an online community because, you can't, there's no variety anymore. You can't use, fucking Chaozu, right? Or something like that. I guess you could use like Videl and Pan because they have the fucking like, the way that they played or whatever. I digress, whatever. I'm just saying, like, there are certain things about it, cheesing aspects, all that, right? The game was, at launch, it was a pretty broken mess, right? So I get that, right? I get that. But after these changes finally got made recently, and they made the disparity a lot, less ridiculous, right? There were people that were not happy with those changes. And again, I don't think it's the same people. It's just the other side of the community that wanted to keep it as like an unbalanced mess. They're like, no, it's shit. Now these people cried about it, and then they got their changes and stuff. So it's like, no matter what these devs do, I don't think people are going to be happy. There might be some people that are satisfied with it, but then there's going to be other, half of the community that is just like, this is fucking horrible. Like, why would you change the whole point of the Tenkaichi series? You know what I mean? And I understand. I get it. I'm trying to see all the different perspectives, but it's just, you get to a point where you're just like, oh my God, dude, I'm so fucking tired of this shit. Like, I'm just tired of nobody ever being happy about anything, right? And that's not no toxic positivity or anything, right? That's just, do you guys understand how frustrating it is whenever you want to play a game or enjoy something and you got a bitch in your ear telling you it's garbage, it's shit, like constantly over and over and over and over. And then these people in the community who are just being extremely fucking toxic, the way that they play or the way that they're, just shitting on the game or whatever it may be, right? Like, there's so many, I've never seen a Dragon Ball game be this just absurd, right? Maybe Legends and Dokkan, but I tried to, I'm not really heavily into those communities. I don't remember Xenoverse 2 being this bad. Maybe it's because I just stayed away from it for the most part, right? But like this game, it's like I'm trying to stay away from a lot of it, and I can't escape it. I've been put into drama in situations and things, right? Like it's like, oh my god. And you know, like the people who are getting like personal about it, I personally haven't seen it. Again, I am not gonna be in no Discord server. Hell fucking no. Like that's the number one thing in a community. You try to stay away from a Discord server when it comes to any of these games, because you will 100% guaranteed see some bullshit. You know what I mean? Some actual crazy ass shit. But he's saying, you know, from what he said, and I believe him, people getting personal, bringing other people's families into this, like that. Dude, this is a fucking game. It is not that deep. Like a lot of people, so much of this stuff is just not deep. It's unnecessary, right? So it's just sad to see that he's retired because of how fucking toxic it is, right? And it's not just him. It's a lot of people. Like shouts to Dion, because he said this, right? This was a while back, but he said every community had annoying motherfuckers, but sparking takes the cake, okay? People's whole personality is being good at sparking zero. My bad for playing other games, doing other shit, and not dedicating my life to the game like you. Let them live in their echo chamber and feel good, right? And it's like, that's crazy, man. Like, sparking zero, I never really saw it as a super competitive game, and you can make it competitive. And you know, shout outs to Rai here, because they said this, right? This is in response to a Sacred. Wait, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero lost 90% of its players in a month. Jesus Christ, right? And they said Sparking Zero isn't meant to be an ultra competitive, sweaty fighting live service game. It can be competitive, but really it's meant to be a fun arcade game that you break out and play every once in a while, right? That's how I've always seen the Tenkaichi series, and that's how I've always played it, right? I would play with my brother and maybe some friends or some other family members that would come over, and it was just kind of the game like Smash Bros, right? Like a party game for us, right? We weren't, I mean, we could get competitive, be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat your ass or run it back, you know what I mean? But like at the end of the day, like it wasn't like this crazy, like it wasn't like this shit was gonna be at Evo, right? Or like this shit was gonna be at CEO or like some of these huge tournaments, right? Like it wasn't a game that you would ever really see be like, again, you can make it competitive, but it just, I never saw it that way, and I don't even think the devs really meant for it to be like an arena fighter. Like it just wasn't that. And yes, you can find tech and do crazy shit in these games, even with Sparking Zero, right? Like I've seen clips of people doing some ridiculous shit that I would never be able to pull off, right? And I think any game can be like that. Like you can make Mario Party, a literal party game. You can make that competitive with mini games, right? Whoever's just better at the game, whoever grinds out that specific mini game and is just more proficient at it, you can make it a competition in a way, right? So I'm just saying, like, it's when you make it like this, which again, I'm not saying that the devs and like Bandai is not at fault, because they are, right? They are at fault for it, because they did add a ranked mode, and I've said it many times before. You add a ranked mode, and you can't say that it's just a party game anymore, right? In the original games, there was no online, right? There was no really like ranked, I guess, mode. I guess there were like the special arcade modes, or like the, what is it? There was like so many other modes that like did require a lot of skill, and like, you know, it was a difficult game for the most part, but it wasn't like a ranking system where it's like you beat other players online to climb the ranks, right? So now that they have that, and they have even seasons for it and everything, it made this game in such a gray area. Do you understand what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know. I feel like it just doesn't work with this type of game. Whenever you're trying to bring out the best of it, right? The best that you get from this game is whenever you play those 182, 200 plus characters with your buddies, right? And you're just dicking around, having fun, having a laugh. And that's why I've enjoyed the game a lot. And that's the thing. It's like, I don't play this game every single day. You're like, oh, this guy doesn't know shit about the game. He doesn't play it every single day. And it's true, I don't play it every single day. I want to do other things. I want to go out and, you know, have fun and do things with my family or friends. And I want to play other games. I want to play the Donkey Kong game. I want to play Pokemon and you know, whatever it may be. Like, there are so many things that I would rather do than play Sparking Zero. That doesn't mean I don't love the game. Every now and then I'll pop it in with my brother or like a friend, and we'll play a couple matches, right? Like, that's what it is. Like, that's how I enjoy the game. But these people who are like these, like, the sweats, right? They get on every single day, go on ranked, and then get upset or mad because of how the game is or whatever it may be. And it's like, I get it, I understand, right? But it's like, take a break, do other things, right? And that's, you know, that's what a lot of people, I would hope so, did, right? It's kind of what Dion said here. He said, my bad for playing other games and doing other shit, right? Like, you don't have to dedicate your life to being the Sparking Zero of all time, right? You are the Sparking Zero, right? You don't have to do that to enjoy the game. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just, over anything, this is just a big rant. I'm just, you know, I just wish that I want to see better for the community, right? Not just the game, but the community as well. The game, we want to see good gameplay changes and updates and new content, right? Sparking Zero content. Like, we want to see all that shit, but we also need to stop tearing each other apart in the community. It's just, it is doing nothing for anybody to just be like pissed and so aggressive and mad at everything, right? That's why I said, like, maybe I need to go back to Germany, man. I know that's so random to say, but it's like, no, I love what I do. I love making content. I love talking with you guys, having discussions, speculation, you know, the stuff that I like doing. I like playing these games, doing gameplay videos. I like to do this stuff. This is an awesome part of my life, but there's stuff like this that it just makes it hard, man. And that's why I'm tired. I'm tired.